Assalamu alaikum Alhadi Lions, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Broadcast. Inshallah, today we're going to have our first podcast of the year, and today we're going to have Moulana Shaan with us for an episode titled Beyond the Hawza. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you, Qasim?
Good, how are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me on the podcast today.
Yeah, we've been waiting a long time to do this.
I know. First I was sick, then you were sick, so
I know.
We finally found some time.
Alhamdulillah, it's been like 3 months now?
It's been 3 months, alhamdulillah, but you're a busy guy.
Yeah, so are you?
So I'm glad we found some time to finally connect.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes.
So I think we should get right into it.
Yes, yeah, please, let's jump into it. Let's go.
So I think first thing is like, you're clearly a really knowledgeable man. So what's some of your educational background?
My educational journey. So basically I grew up in upstate New York, and I went to kind of just a pretty good public school there. And I would disagree with your characterization of very knowledgeable man, but thank you for the kind words. But I went to a school in upstate New York, normal public school. Then I went to undergrad and university in New York as well, majoring in political science and philosophy. And after that, I went to law school. And actually, I think many people who know me know this, that's actually my educational background was as an attorney. So I practiced in the field of labor law and employment law, which has to do with issues that someone might face at work. So for example, someone trips and falls or someone is discriminated against. Those are the kinds of issues that I dealt with as a lawyer. After several years of practicing in the Hawza, then several years of practicing as an attorney, I decided to pursue higher Islamic education in the Hawza. And I began that in 2014. And I studied for about 8 years total in the Hawza as well. And then after I finished that process, it's been a few years since ending the Hawza studies. So so I have a background in kind of the Western academia as well as traditional Islamic sciences. So that's kind of my educational background. So hopefully it makes me suited to help the students here.
That's pretty intensive. So I guess one thing that makes me wonder is like, what caused you to shift from all this like legal stuff to something Islamic?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for me, being in the Hawza was always a dream and always a passion of mine. At the same time, I think I had certain expectations from family to pursue certain degrees and get a secular education just to kind of be a little bit more stable in my life and kind of have a career that I could also rely on if I needed to. And so it's not that I wasn't interested in law. I did also have an interest in law and kind of politics and social justice, and so that's why I pursued that. However, the passion for the Hawza was always there with me from the very beginning. Having said that, I was getting to an age in my 20s when I realized practicing as a lawyer, if I didn't switch and go into Islamic studies, it would kind of be too late for me. Right? Once I got into my 30s, I felt that if I decided to do Hawza at that point, it might be too late. So I kind of took the plunge, realizing that a lot of the issues that I think I was seeing in the world around me at the time were due to not things that lawyers necessarily had to help with. It was more that people had spiritual problems, spiritual illnesses, religious issues that I think were the root cause of a lot of the issues I was seeing in the communities and around the world. So that was kind of what inspired me to change my path, so to speak.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like similarly, I have some inspirations to go to Hawza too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not be a leader like you, but
No. Inshallah, you should. طلب العلم فريضة على كل مؤمن, right? Seeking knowledge is necessary for every Muslim.
For sure.
Right? And so I think whether it's through Alhadi or like higher studies that you can pursue online, that's something that would be beneficial for you on a personal level. And would you recommend everyone to maybe like do a little bit online stuff, something like that? I would say everyone should continue the path of knowledge, right? And everyone should, even if it's not like a formal Hawza class, right? Certain books you can go to or lectures like at the masajid or workshops. Everyone needs to kind of continue to learn at a higher level Islamically. Otherwise, you just become stagnant, right? And we don't want that. And that's kind of where our community has been for a long time. And so everyone should have this desire to want to learn at a higher level, because Islam has a lot of depth and different layers of understanding that we can reach. And sometimes we stay at the same level for our whole lives or for decades and decades. But definitely for youth like yourself, I would encourage you to start to go a little bit deeper, even if you don't go into it as a career. Just pursue deeper Islamic knowledge. Whatever opportunities you get at the masjid or anywhere else, that's certainly a great idea.
And one really easy way to continue that is through Moulana Shaan's book club, which a lot of parents already attend, and I've heard a lot of great things about it. So
Thank you. Yes, yeah, I know that we have some of your family members. We have a few Alhadi teachers in it, alhamdulillah. This is an effort we started this year to kind of engage the parents more. And we started off reading a book called Boys Adrift, which is about kind of engaging boys in a school setting and how the needs of boys are different from girls, what those needs are psychologically and physically. And so we had a really good discussion about that for 3 months, and now we're going to go on to our second book, inshallah.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
Thank you. Inshallah, you can join one day.
So I guess like from law school to Hawza, similarly, what drew you from like around the country to Texas?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I lived in Texas previously, but to be honest, I wasn't specifically planning on coming back here because I'm not from this neck of the woods, as they say. I'm from the north, like New York, and then I lived in Chicago for quite a while as well. So I was always thinking I would stay there. However, right, like after I finished the Hawza, I really wanted an opportunity to give back, and I was looking for not really a traditional masjid setting, rather like more of a setting where it would be a bit more regular. Right, like I would have a steady schedule every day where I'd be able to interact with people and give back in that way to people that I think needed, support, guidance. Yeah. And so the school was a perfect opportunity, I thought. But I didn't necessarily think about going to a school. Rather, what happened was I was actually working after the Hawza in Washington, D.C. And I was actually working back in a legal role, right, because I didn't find something in a communal role that fit. And during that time, I really wanted to go back to doing something in an Islamic setting and giving back to the community, but I didn't find a good opportunity. And I was visiting Houston, and interestingly, Moulana Farhat, just randomly out of the blue, he pulled me into his office one day after Dua Kumail and was asking me what I was doing in Washington, D.C. and said, look, like, we need someone at the school, like, are you interested? And I almost saw that as a sign because I was looking for just that exact thing at the time. I was looking for like a good opportunity, a perfect opportunity. It just it fell into my lap, and I really wasn't expecting that. And then I looked into IEC and specifically Alhadi, and did a little bit of research, and everything that I found out seemed to make it a good fit. And so I kind of said Bismillah, accepted it, and here we are 2 years later. So
I think that's got to be like the craziest coincidence.
It was, but it was a happy, it was a really happy coincidence, if we can call it that. Of course, I don't know if we'd call it a coincidence, but definitely it was something where I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened the door at the right time, for me. And I think I realized that this was the perfect opportunity, and if I kind of said no to it, maybe it wouldn't, I didn't know when the next similar opportunity would come about, so I just said yes, despite some challenges, and accepted it, and here we are.
Yeah, that sounds like the most perfect thing that could happen.
Yeah, but I think one thing I'd like to mention to the youth was that this was after many years of struggle, of challenge. We had come out of COVID. There was not a lot of clarity as to what was happening in the world, right? Even for myself, like where I could plug in. As I mentioned, I ended up having to go back to a legal job because, the world was in such a uneven place, and even I didn't get to stay and pursue Hawza studies as long as I wanted. And so, right, like it was after a lot of questioning myself, perhaps doubting, right, like struggle, worry, if we can use the word anxiety, right? All of that was there. Right, but just persevering through that, and then trusting in Allah's plan, and then waiting for that door to open at the right time was really kind of what made it special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a bad time back then.
Yeah, right. So.
I don't even remember much. I was in 5th grade.
You were in 5th grade? Do you remember going to school during that time, or was it all?
Yeah,
you were probably all online, huh?
I would like hop on, call, just go to sleep.
Keep your camera off.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you feel like you learned anything during that time?
Absolutely not.
No. Yeah, it's tough.
It was rough back then.
They say in education that we're still seeing the effects of the students who were in COVID during that time, the learning loss that happened. So I'm sure it was difficult for you all.
Yeah. Could you see like a difference in the kids from back then and now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's due to COVID, right? I mean, definitely that seems like it played a part in it. But, one of the things that I've learned in this job also is that every generation seems to increasingly have its own challenges. So at my time, the challenges were one thing, then there's kids who are like in their early 20s, right, which I see as very different from my generation. And they have their own challenges, they've had their own challenges, but then you have like the Gen Alpha group, which is like, even when the 20-year-olds see those kids, they're like, oh, we can't like relate, these kids are like so different now. So I think as the world has, progressed through the last 10 to 15 years, there's been a lot of changes, and definitely there are a lot of things that are really different. We never had like a joke like 6'7", right? Would never like last this long in my time. I just feel like this is just going on for
I
like
think it's
2
a little
months.
foolish.
It's at this point, it's just like let's move on, right?
Yeah.
So.
This is a kind of unrelated, but it reminds me of that hadith from Imam Ali, like treat your children differently because they're in a different generation.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. There's a lot to be said for the time and the place, right? And that's why an alim has to be alim bil zaman and alim bil makan, which means that he has to be an alim who knows the time and the place that he's living in, right, to be effective. And I think that's really, really important, to be able to connect with people like you or younger than you. I have to know a little bit about your life and the world you live in too.
So like on the topic of kids, I guess, and like kind of dealing with them, how was your first year dealing with the kids at Alhadi, or even like just at Alhadi?
In general, yeah. Very good. Yeah, so I finished 2 full years now, so this is my 3rd year. So I would say, the first year, I would say it's kind of the honeymoon year. You're just kind of getting used to things. Everything looks great. It's all, I had a lot of good sessions like with teachers on tarbiyah. I really kind of settled into teaching some of the Islamic studies classes. And so it was really just kind of finding my place in the community, speaking more, getting to know a lot of community members. And that, of course, in the 2nd year, then you start to get more into the weeds of things and really get to know people's problems, people's issues. They start to open up to you a little bit more. You see the more deeply rooted issues in the community, whether it's on a personal, spiritual level or on a structural level in our school, and I think since last year I've been a lot more hands-on in trying to get involved in that. So both in terms of overall tarbiyah of students, in addition to kind of teaching Islamic studies for 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, as well as U.S. history for 11th. One of the things that I've gotten a lot more involved in is tarbiyah and also discipline, and that's through something called the Behavioral Guidance Team, which is a platform which you all know about, known as the BGT, and I'm also kind of on the admin team, and work with the IEB Islamic Education Board. So I have a lot of different kind of like hats and roles, and I've been a lot more involved in that aspect for the last 2, year and a half now being here. Having said that, I think I've learned a lot about how to be a good teacher. I think just kind of like learning what works, what doesn't. A lot of it is trial by error. So learning from some of the experienced colleagues we have here. I learned that, for example, in middle school, right, you can't just come in and say like, you guys have a free block, because it just becomes chaotic, right? You have to have a plan for, even if you're giving free time, you have to kind of give some structure to it. But I think the first couple of years overall have been really good. Just building relationships. I think one of the nice things about our school is that sometimes we have teachers that teach kids multiple years. So even like with your grade, I think I taught you guys when you were in 8th, and then 9th, and then now. And so I think at this point, now that it's kind of the 3rd year, I feel like my relationship with your grade has gotten like a lot better. I feel a lot closer to you guys feel comfortable with me, and vice versa. Right? And even the girls in your grade, same thing. Right? And that's kind of taken several years to get to that point. I feel like I've also gotten a better sense of how to teach, right? How to make things make sense, how to kind of plan out a lesson, how to speak it, how to present it, what kind of things to assign in homework. Of course, I think Islamic studies is a little bit different because everyone sees that as like a relaxing block, so to speak. So, and I also kind of don't want to make it too pressurized for the students. So I make it a little bit more informal, but make sure students are learning. Long story short, to answer your question, I found it great. Overall, I can't complain. Alhamdulillah, like it's been a great opportunity to serve the community. I think there's always challenges, right, on a day-to-day level. It can be very stressful, it can be overwhelming, but if I zoom out and say like, I have the opportunity to work with youth and to kind of be in their lives, be a mentor, be a guide, be a teacher for them, that's a great opportunity that I'm really thankful for, and I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, and I just hope I can do a good job in the role.
And so I think you came to Alhadi at the same time as me.
Okay.
Because I've been here since 8th grade.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. So we've had like the same honeymoon period and all that.
Okay. So I should ask you the question then. How were your first couple years?
Oh, like I think you like completely summarize me. Like the first year was amazing, and then I kind of learned more of the problems.
Okay.
But it's been great overall.
Overall, you feel like now you're in a good place?
Yeah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. But now you're a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah.
And you also came from Chicago, right? If I'm not mistaken. Okay.
We're like twins.
We have that similarity. Yeah, there you go. That's good. Yeah, Alhadi is, it's one of those things where like it frustrates you a lot, but at the same time, it's like your family. Like you don't want to leave it. You don't want to leave the people here. Like you care a lot about them. You always want the school to do well. You want most of the students to do well. At the same time, you're like losing sleep over the place all the time. So yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I think a lot of teachers feel like that too.
Yeah, it's been a fun school.
It's been a fun school. Fun is one good way to describe it.
Since your time at Alhadi, what like aspirations have you, or initiatives do you hope to build, to continue off of what you've built off of? Like what's your future plans basically for Alhadi?
So I think four things that I've kind of wanted to do that I think maybe I could mention, right? One is that, of course, like I've got other sort of projects and ideas, but four things that I think might be interesting to hear about, or might have some good follow-up. One is kind of bringing more holistic learning and play-based learning to the elementary years, and so because I've kind of seen a need for that in the lower grades, in that the school days are really long and the kids, especially the boys, don't really have much outdoor time, and so one of the initiatives that I was honored to be a part of was something called the Outdoor Enrichment Program, which is a program that takes kindergarten, first grade, and second grade students outside at the end of the day for about 4 blocks each week. So 2 blocks on one day, 2 blocks on another, so 4 blocks total per week. And they have different modules like the sandbox, theater, the garden. We have a nice outdoor garden at Alhadi, and something called structured games. And we have coordinators for this program, but the idea is just getting them out of the classroom because number one, they need that time, right? There's so many benefits to being outdoors, to play-based learning, especially in the younger years. Now, that was for those grades. This year, we also pushed and were able to add recess blocks for 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade to have a consistent protected outdoor time for those grades as well, where it's not just having recess after kind of eating your lunch, which is usually, as you know, you're just kind of scarfing down your lunch as soon as possible, and then you're going outside for like 20 minutes to play. But this is a separate block where they're actually getting a full recess block. And it's really important for those younger grades to have that. So that's one initiative. I think another initiative has been trying to streamline the tarbiyah and discipline processes at the school. And so we have a lot going on there in terms of socio-emotional learning, tarbiyah, and discipline. And I think in terms of discipline, first just trying to bring more consistency and fairness to the processes. Okay. And make sure, and you're smiling, so I'm sure you have some stories there. But, as a school, we always want to be fair, right? And we always want to be just with all our policies. Of course, if someone breaks the law, breaks the rules, like there's consequences and they might not like it, but what we have to be responsible for is, were we fair? Were we just? Like, was the policy clean? Was it fair? Was it being applied fairly? Right? Did the students know what the rule was? Was it made clear to them like what they can do and can't do? And then if they broke the rule, okay, there's a consequence, right? But I just wanted to clean up that process, and so that I've worked a lot on, and that's still an ongoing process. Of course, trying to revisit that and think through that as well. And then the third thing I think is through my classes, trying to build relationship with students, right? Through teaching the material, which is in Islamic studies and history, using the material, and of course teaching them something, but also using that almost as like an excuse to build a relationship with the students, right? Get to know them, know their family life, like what they like to do outside, right? And then that way you kind of have a relationship where you can be an older brother or mentor for some of the students as well, whoever feels comfortable talking to you. But I think that's also been one of my goals. So in Islamic studies, right, part of it is like the content, but part of it is the relationship building. And then a fourth initiative I think that I've really tried to push and I'm working on still is just trying to improve our salat experience in the salat hall. As you know, that can be sometimes a bit of a mess, and we missed you this year because I know you're helping out with the younger kids. But just trying to make our prayer time a little bit more structured, more disciplined, where people feel like they can connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a better way at that time. Of course, it doesn't help that we're, in this giant tent with like duct tape hanging down from the roof and kids smelling like sweat because that's where they use for PE.
Yeah.
So inshallah, we can have a nice spiritual sort of like prayer area or masjid that is constructed as we expand this facility. But for now, we're doing the best with what we have.
Yeah.
So there's a kind of a summary of some of the projects I'm working on, some of the things that I'm involved in.
When I'm outside, I can usually hear y'all in there.
Right? Yeah.
So many kids.
So many kids, right? And there's like 300 kids. I mean, we can't expect it to be perfect with that many
Yeah.
people in that tight of a space. But having said that, we still would like to have some semblance of like, spirituality and connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during that time. And I think we've implemented things like having, students stand in certain places, right? Not standing next to the person that is in their grade or the grade next to them, or having people, right, like, kind of listen to the azan, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if have you had a chance to be back in there and kind of listen
like
at all?
I see like y'all have the sign that says
sign.
no
Yeah,
two
yeah,
grades.
yeah.
Even the student thing that you were saying, like I noticed
The
like,
relationship?
Yeah. In class, like I'll notice you asking a lot of students questions and stuff, and I think that's nice too.
Yeah, and trying to be a little bit more jokey and like, just joke around a little bit more in the class. I don't know if you've gotten that sense,
Yeah.
here and there. Yeah, so I try. Of course, it's hard for Moulana to be jokey too. So.
On the note of feeling connected with students and all that, how do you think we could strengthen that connection between students who feel active at Alhadi versus those who may feel a little disconnected at Alhadi? And I think you can get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it comes down to what are we doing for new students, right? That's one part of it, and I think you can relate to that because you were new only 2 years ago. Like one thing we really need to understand is that when someone comes in to our school from the outside, right, as a Muslim school, Islamic school, we have an obligation to kind of like welcome them, right, and like make them part of the community, make them feel at home, right, take them under our wing, kind of integrate them into the classes, right, the friend groups. I think that's hard because compared to a lot of public schools, we're relatively small. And so, for example, in 10th grade, if you're a boy in 10th grade, there's only like
12 kids.
12 boys that you could relate to, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't connect with those 12, where are you going to go, right? Kind of by yourself. And even out of those 12, 6 of them are in one section, 6 are in the other.
Yeah.
So really you're talking about 6 boys. And so that poses a real challenge, right? Is that how do we integrate these kids into our school? I think, we don't have any formal programming right now for that. This is something that I've thought about. I think at the level of kind of the behavioral guidance team, this is something we've tried to do, is try to kind of just follow up with some of these new kids, check up on them, bring them in, ask them kind of what their experience is like. Are there, kids that are, you're getting along with, like who are your friends? And then we kind of talk to their friends and appreciate them and encourage them to kind of continue to build a relationship with that student. We've had a lot of success stories. I think we've definitely had kids who have come here from very different backgrounds, like public schools, non-Islamic backgrounds. They've come here and they've kind of like adjusted and like grown and like fit into our school culture, if that makes sense. Even though their culture growing up or from their prior school is very different.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't know if that applies to you, but I've seen that with some kids, because I don't know exactly what your prior schooling was like, but I definitely know some kids who were coming from very different backgrounds. They came into Alhadi and there was a little bit of a rough transition, but eventually they really like kind of started to grow here and like connected with people and connected with like the Islamic kind of culture at the school, the programming, the teachers, all of it, and they kind of like it a lot, I'm mostly talking about middle and high school students that I'm familiar with. I'm sure we've seen this in elementary as well.
Yeah, like, because you're saying me, like, I came from like a straight secular schooling.
Okay.
And even at the masjid I used to go to, I wasn't that connected. So like, for me coming here, I was like a really nice, exciting.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to make friends with like Muslims.
Yeah, how was that transition for you though? Like, did you feel like it was difficult in the beginning and then you kind of grew as you
Yeah,
were
like
here?
I was like, how is it? I was a little worried on how it was going to be to be friends with Muslims, but like, because I hadn't really done that much before. But like, it was nice. It was just like everyone's a normal person, right?
Okay, good. So that transition worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
That was pretty serious, and we talked a lot about like connection and stuff. But I think it's supposed to be a podcast, so let's have some fun.
Okay.
So I have a couple of questions here.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you, and they're like quick, so like
They're
maybe
quick,
under
so
30 seconds.
Just think about the answer and give you whatever comes to mind.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. So what's something creative that you've done?
Creative that I've done. Wow. Usually ulama, Moulanas, that's not our forte. But I used to do pastels when I was in high school. Yeah, oil pastels. So, but that was many, many years ago. I also used to do taekwondo. So these are some old hobbies that you're bringing out. Yeah.
You can't get creative and thick.
You can't get creative and thick. No.
Okay, that's I'm interested in art too.
Sure.
So, what's something you find funny?
Something you find funny? Wow. I think the most fun I have these days is honestly just with my students, with the high school students, just joking with them, trying to kind of make them laugh, see if they can make me laugh, right? There's no specific, I do like certain comedians, right? And I don't want to share the names, right, necessarily, but there are certain comedians out there that are funny too, but yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm your favorite comedian.
You're my favorite comedian. Awesome.
So, if you could meet any historical figure, who would it be?
Oh, wow. Good question. I think one person that I would really be inspired to meet is Imam Khomeini. Oh. And I think that's because he's not a very kind of old historical figure. I mean, within the last 50 years, of course, but I think for me, he's someone that his writings, right, his thoughts have had a lot of influence on me personally. Mm-hmm. And even outside of the political realm, right, just his writings in different areas of Islamic thought. Yeah. There's a lot of depth to them, right? And, people that have met him have always kind of described him as a mesmerizing presence. And so that's someone that I think I wouldn't give up that opportunity to meet him if I could.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. And I guess this is a semi-serious question again, but like, what should be taught in school that isn't already?
Yeah. It is and isn't, but I would say akhlaq, right, and behavior. And that's something that schools are struggling with all across the country, because traditionally in education, in America, we've kind of separated ethics and morality from knowledge. And so today education is mostly about knowledge, but traditionally it was also about morality and ethics and behavior. And a lot of modern education has taken that away. And the idea is just to impart knowledge on students, right, and kind of stuff knowledge into their minds. And in an Islamic model, we would do both, right? We would both give knowledge, but also ethics, etiquette, akhlaq, behavior, character. We can use all of these terms, right? And so that character development, character building is a really important part of being an educated person in the world. And so I would say that there needs to be more of an emphasis on that. And that's something that I think at Alhadi, we don't do a perfect job of, but at least we do have that component within our curriculum, and we're continuing to build it and refine it and develop it. And that's the benefit of our school, and that's something that we can be proud of, as opposed to kind of most secular public schools out there.
So, like a bit of a food question. Okay. What's your favorite snack?
Oh, that's a good one. Favorite snack. I really like those. They're not the healthiest things, but have you ever had those like desi, like digestive biscuits?
Oh, I love those.
You know what I'm talking about? The McVitie's, right? The digestive biscuits that if you have them with like a cup of tea. Yeah. I don't know if your parents do this or if you've seen this, but like you take that digestive biscuit and you just dip it in the tea, and it's like heavenly. Yeah, it's not the healthiest thing, but if you're ever kind of just looking for a snack, you're a little bit hungry but not like very hungry, it just hits the spot.
Have you had the ones that are dipped in chocolate?
I've seen those. Yeah, I've had those. Do you like those better or the regular ones? So good. So do you dip them in chai as well, or you just go with the chocolate? Them plain. You eat them plain. Okay. Got it. Yeah, no, those you can't go wrong with those.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Yeah. So you're more sweet snacker than savory?
I like both. My family is really big on hot Cheetos, and that's sadly something that I'm like, why are we eating this junk? But at the same time, I'm also secretly like eating it when I get the opportunity. So it's one of those things that it's like a battle that you have to defeat in yourself before you can talk to others.
But to beat the nafs.
Beat the nafs. There you go. Hot Cheetos is like a struggle, a daily struggle.
So
it's got the food, the colors and things like that we're trying to avoid, the red dyes, right?
So besides eating hot Cheetos, what do you like to do for fun?
Besides eating hot Cheetos, honestly, I really like traveling, spending time with people, getting to know people. I really like conversation, honestly. So just even going out to like a cafe, either to be by myself and read, or to like have a conversation, catch up with someone over a cup of coffee. That would be high on my list, I think. Reading is a big one, right? So there's my own reading, my own studies, but then reading for fun is a different category. Yeah, just good conversation, right? Reading. I used to be more of a basketball guy, but I think in this job, right, I've had less and less time to engage in that kind of fun. Now sports are mostly with my kids, right? So rollerblading, biking, those kinds of things. Just trying to do something that's fun, somewhat healthy for me, but also fun for them. So.
And I see you play like football outside sometimes too.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's the fun, that's the relationship component. Trying to build a relationship with the kids. So sometimes these 8th grade boys, 9th grade boys, we do a little bit of classwork, or some classes we go outside and we just play football, and then at the end of the game we have like a 5-minute Islamic discussion, right? And that's just to keep that relationship strong, right? Get them active, get them outdoors. I think for boys we also make it a little competitive, right? We do like 8B versus 8G. 9B versus 9G, and kind of keep track of like who's winning over the course of the year. And sometimes they'll get a prize, like a pizza party or something. But really, it's just more to keep it fun, keep it light, but then also give them that knowledge at the end of the game, right? Rather than just kind of always through a textbook. Right? I don't know what your thoughts on that kind of method.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like, we had like Coach Save, he would play basketball and stuff with us, and I think that translated into like, in class, like when he teaches geometry, we just kind of felt better connected to him as a teacher. We would actually pay attention too.
Okay. Just because of that time that he had spent with you outdoors. Yeah, definitely. I think that's really, really important, just to create that harmony between the students and teachers. And so that's usually what we end up doing. Football has been our go-to sport this year. So we do a lot of that, especially with 8th and 9th. I haven't done it with the 10th grade boys too much this year. But we can do that.
I don't think we've played football once this year.
I don't think we have. Yeah, we've been outside, but we haven't played football.
So, like being us and all, how were you when you were our age? What did young Moulana Shaan look like?
Like a 10th grader? Yeah, definitely. So I went to public school, so it was maybe similar to what you experienced before you came to Alhadi, but and there weren't a lot of Muslims also, nor a lot of Desis, so it was a very different experience for me. Having said that, I think I would describe myself that time compared to other kids as pretty studious, right? Pretty not antisocial in any way, like still social, but very much focused on like studies, doing good in grades, getting my extracurriculars, right? One of those kind of personalities that you do see around the school sometimes. So I would say that I was mostly like that. But I think that also led into my career as, a Moulana, in terms of that, in the Hawza, there's a lot of study and reading, and sometimes people don't realize that, right? Is that it's a lot of studying different texts in different languages, trying to understand what the text is saying, analyzing the text, discussing it, comparing it to other authors' views, and all of those things are part of that. So, going back to that time, I see a lot of similarities sometimes between myself and you guys. Like I remember at that age, being really into basketball and like basketball shoes, which I think is not your grade as much, but if you start going to the middle school, these guys love like everything about basketball, right? Or like the latest shoes, or like who crossed over who, and that was, I remember in middle school, I was also like that a lot too. Just kind of like these were the discussions we used to have in middle school. So that kind of paints a little bit of a picture. So really that aspect of it plus the studious aspect of it.
Like this just sounds like a normal kid.
Sounds like a normal kid, right?
So like any kid out there could be like a Moulana like you one day.
They could be, yeah. We never know who might be the next Moulana at Alhadi, right? 20 years from now, it might be one of you guys, right?
So it's now like, I think we can conclude up, and I think one final statement could be like, what advice do you have for, the kids out there?
Yeah, that's a really good question, right? If I were to just give one piece of advice, one thing that, of course, like a lot of advice can be given, and there's a lot of needs right out there. But one thing that I think sometimes I see, especially in like high schoolers and middle schoolers, is that at that age, like we're kind of now starting to get ready for our future, right? And so there needs to be a little bit of like seriousness and ambition built into your life at that point too. I do see that in some kids, but there's a lot of kids I don't see that in, right? They're just kind of like, not really that serious about life or like school or grades or like extracurriculars or deen. just kind of truly taking it easy. And one thing I would say is be ambitious, right? Be serious about your life and like what you want to accomplish and how you want to continue to grow Islamically and spiritually and serve, humanity and serve the Deen, serve others, right? And I think that transition has to happen at some point in high school, ideally. And I don't see that a lot, right? So just being a person of ambition, trying to be serious and not wasting your time, right? Not wasting your time with, just gaming, not wasting your time with, just scrolling, being online too much, not wasting your time with things that won't benefit you in your life or right in the akhirah in any way, right? That are literally just wastes of time. And we see that a lot, sadly, I think, in the high school and middle school population. And I would say, this is a mistake, right? At this point, you're looking forward to kind of developing your life, seeing what you're interested in, what your hobbies are, what you're good at, right? Like what you want to do later on when you get into college, right? So these are all things to kind of start thinking about at this age, at 10th grade, right? Or 9th grade even. Do you feel like is that accurate? Like a lot of kids are not that serious about that? That's kind of been my observation. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that too.
Yeah, like I think a lot of kids, like some kids, like they're like, oh, I want to go to this college, I want to major in this. Some other kids are like, I don't even know what I want to major in, I just want to graduate early.
You just want to graduate and get out of here, right? Yeah, and that's not really a great attitude. It's like you're just trying to avoid, being here, doing work, right? Well, what are you doing then, right? If you're leaving here, like, are you just going to be at home all day, kind of like, you see what I'm saying? Like, so there's a lot of that escapism, kind of like fleeing problems, not wanting to be disciplined, right? So this is an age where we have to kind of get a little bit more serious about our life and what we want to do. Try to seek out good mentors, right? People who can give you good advice. Try to build good friendships with older, people in the community. Doing an internship, right? I know that you've done that also through TRS, right? So all of those kinds of things, which is great, right? That's exactly what we should be doing, continuing to grow in Deen, right? This is the age for that. Yeah, so I would say like overall there needs to be a little bit of just a paradigm shift for high school students especially.
Just find an ambition.
Find an ambition, right? And show some passion about something, whatever it is, right? And start pursuing and start working towards it.
Yeah. Like, you're saying this could be as big as like, studying for your SAT right now, 10th grade or even like...
For example. Yeah, just showing something, right? Whether it's in academics or in Deen or in sports or both, right? But just showing some passion. Right, but starting to get ready for like the next stage of your life.
Yeah, there's a lot, like there's ambition. We talked a lot about ambition, feeling connected with students, even like your favorite snack.
Yes.
So
thank you for conducting such a wide-ranging interview. I've honestly never had like this wide of an interview before. So this is really a unique experience. Yeah.
And I think like a lot of Alhadi students are finally going to get to know you.
Inshallah.
Yeah,
inshallah. So thank you. No, thank you for this. This has been a great opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Honestly, like my door is always open. I love talking to students. If anyone wants, is having a problem, just wants advice on something with parents, with, something happening in school, something with another teacher, I'm happy to talk to them, and work with them and give them some guidance and advice and help them solve that problem. Work with them to solve the problem in the best way possible.
For sure. And like I've come to you too,
Yeah, you have. But we're not going to talk about what you talked about. Yeah.
I guess that's it. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Qasim. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers, for tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Broadcast. I'm glad that we finally got to do this one and that you guys were able to enjoy it. And inshallah, we hope to see you in the next one. Khud Hafiz.